Hello, everyone. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Tipple's Brews and Wines Wine of the Week wine tasting with Elizabeth and Jeff Beaudre, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines in Gainesville, Florida. This week, we are going to be running back to the always favorite Napa Valley, California, Arling Blaze Hope Dies Last. Kind of a great label and theme for Halloween time, you know, Halloween and Dia de los Muertes.
Does it have anything to do with Pandora's box? Hope Dies Last? Yeah, that was what was left in the box. Okay,
yeah,
never
sure,
mind.
why not? All right. Could be thing. Or it could be just Jeff picked creepy labels, you know, It could be that too. I know the other ones, there's Dante's Inferno on some of the other sister and brother wines.
You remember Pandora's story?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
All right.
But I'm not sure, like, there's no info on that.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But it could be.
That's what I'm going to think it is.
You know what? It probably is.
Okay.
Even though it's a person standing in front of a tree. So.
I don't know.
All right. Anyway, so if you have not already done so, go ahead and pop those bottles open. I suggest giving it a light chill to get it down to cellar temperature, about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, about 30 minutes in the refrigerator. If you're in the wonderful state of Florida, and most of our homes are around 74, 75 degrees. So just give it a light chill to begin with. It's going to warm up and meet us where we are eventually anyway. So let's get you some wine.
Okay, you want to explain your hard pour? I know I always point that out, but
Okay. Yes, I do like to give it
just for the recording, because all these people know.
Love to give it a really good hard pour, not a gentle pour, to just start getting that oxygen in there. It's easier than spinning, though. After a while, spinning becomes second nature. I literally accidentally spin wine that's not even supposed to be spun now. Like, I'll pick up champagne and just spin it and like, oops, stop. You know, it won't hurt anything. But.
Okay, so I have a weird question. Maybe you don't know, but so we do that at home.
Sure.
But I mean, clearly they would never do it like that in a restaurant. So what are they doing to make it so that it, like, they don't like, you don't hear the glug, 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 glug as they're pouring it in a restaurant. They're always like, oh, and it's not getting extra oxygen. So
right, you know, just spin it yourself. Okay. I mean, they want it to be really smooth and elegant, and you know, it's fine.
All right,
but it's not going to hurt anything anytime. Hard pour, soft pour, you're not hurting it.
You're gonna have to wait for it to open longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing with the sparkling wine, which is my point in there, is it self-opens. I mean, it's literally effervescent, so you don't need to do that. But anyway, all right, so let's take a look at the first slide as we take our initial impressions. We'll talk about what we're thinking and scenting and smelling and tasting in a moment. So the Arling Blaze Hope Dies Last Napa Valley Red Blend. This is a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Zinfandel, and Merlot. So I would call this an American red blend, right? Because you have Cab and Merlot, which is a traditional Bordeaux blends.
Right.
Plus but then you have Zinfandel, which, as we all know, I think is the official grape of the United States of America, because we grow 90% of it in the world, and we grow the best of it.
I mean, that's a pretty overwhelming percentage. I mean,
right?
Come on.
Yeah. Come on. All right. Food pairings for this guy, because it can handle spice, it can handle richness, Asian beef kebabs, beef brisket, beef stroganoff, olives, or salami.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's jump back to all of us just talking about it. Alcohol content, 14.4%.
14.4.
0.4, very specific.
Yes. Interesting.
Ageability on this wine. Yes. 10 plus years. So we've got a combination of nice tannins, solid acidity, so it's got a freshness. We'll talk about it in a minute, but this does not have the scent and flavor of a dried grape, right? It's more, or dried fruit. It's more fresh, lively.
Yes.
And a nice high level of, solid high level of alcohol. So it'll hang out.
What vintage are we on?
This is the 2018.
Okay.
So this is,
So
it's
we're 3 years into it.
it's old enough to be right where we should enjoy it.
Okay.
And yet young enough that it could hang out for a significant amount of time more. Great tannins.
Yeah, that's great.
Right?
It's just, I was thinking it's just what I think of when I think of like a California cab blend. This is what
Right.
I'm thinking of.
I'll tell you what
because it's a blend, like it's a blend. I'm not
Right.
expecting it to be complete cab.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. But what I really like about it is they've got some grippy cab and probably even depending on how it was grown, a little bit of a grippy Merlot, because the Zin can give you some tannin, but it often does not. And we'll talk about where this Zin was grown in the warmest region of Napa. So less likely to have intense tannins, depending on what's going on with the skin, maybe not. But because it's a rich, fruity wine, having that dry tannin to kind of bring you through, to me, elevates it much more. That puts it at a level where, okay, I want to drink this wine.
Yeah. I feel like it's grippy, but not bitey. Does that make sense? Okay.
This would be my supposition.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
It's not particularly acidic, right?
Okay.
When you have grip and acid, so you have tannins, big tannins and big acid, to me, that's what gets to that bitey level.
Okay.
Where you think, dear Lord, I need some food to balance what's attacking my palate. And this is one of those it's a very big wine to drink on its own, but not too big. So amazing with food and also fantastic without. So I think it balances that. It's a very big but friendly wine, if that makes sense, I think.
Yeah, but I feel like though, like I feel the grip everywhere I swirl it in my mouth, like not just on my tongue. I'm feeling it on the backs of my lips and on the insides of my cheeks. Like I feel that grip, although I don't feel like it doesn't feel sharp. It feels like it's hanging on.
Right. It's like it's drying the palate.
Yes, it's drying the palate.
It's drying the palate.
Okay.
And it is like it's coating very, very evenly.
Yes.
So we're talking about structure of wine at this point, right? It's a beautiful structure.
Okay.
And it needed it because we're talking about now. Let's talk about the fruit, right?
Okay.
So we're blueberry, blackberry, cherry, black cherry. It's all in here. I mean, we've got a lot of fruit going on in here, and reasonably so. We're talking about Cab, Zin, and Merlot. So you're going to run all the way from cherry to blackberry to raspberry to plum as options with the general layout of these guys, right? Actually, we should probably,
do you want me to share it?
Well, let's talk a little bit about what we're tasting right now, and then we'll go share and talk about the blend once we get started. So, are we getting any of so Zinfandel often gives you kind of a spiciness and a pepperiness. Are we getting any of that coming through?
Definitely pepperiness. Okay. Kristen Robinson. Yep. I see a lot of heads nodding.
A lot of acidity and pepperiness, I think, to this one.
Right. It's really nice and fresh. Where it gets in there, you'll get those really dark fruits, but then it does finish more of a raspberry finish. So, you get kind of a nice tartness. That is a good quality wine. It's not just falling off, it finishes and continues on. That is important to structure. It has quality structure. Now we're talking about Napa juice. It should have that, but at the same time, it's nice that it really is actually there.
Yeah, I think initially I didn't get much fruitiness, but I was telling Paul, like, I felt like it tastes kind of like coffee-ish, like coffee mocha-ish, like and Elizabeth was talking about, like that grip. So I said, ooh, this feels really like full, but not like overwhelming. But I don't know, I feel something like earthy or coffee or chocolatey, but I didn't get very much fruit initially for me. But I don't know how other people feel.
Well, I will say for sure, after the fruit, plenty of mocha coffee. I mean, absolutely a great observation. It's definitely there. And in addition to that, we popped this guy open right before
Yeah.
we were drinking, and it's already taken a breath. You can see like the tannins are getting grippier. It's getting more and more. It's like, we've got all that cheese in the other room. Maybe I should bring some over. Yeah.
Bring the cheese.
Right. We have from the wine tasting last night. It's like, we
Yeah.
have some lovely cheese.
Yep. And then if you look at the chat, Chris says definitely gets mocha, maybe
Mhm.
some blue or raspberry.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. So we're gonna go with it. So, and they call it, it is kind of such a medley, but that doesn't mean that it's not, that it has no definition.
Mhm.
Where we have blue fruits, we have black fruits, we have red fruits. They're in there.
Yeah.
Wonderful mocha, nice base,
Mhm.
and then fantastic structure on here. This is just a whole lot of fun to drink. To
Yeah.
me, it's
it's very
Ours
complex.
has been open about an hour and it's really tamed down.
good. Yeah.
Although tannins have tamed down a bit.
So Jerry, you tried it initially when you first opened it and then tried it
Oh.
again?
I did, we did.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
it was tannin city when we first opened.
Yeah.
It was- Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no doubt there was tannins, but it's kind of mellowed out a little bit over the hour.
But chocolate was the first thing that hit me as soon as I stuck my nose in the glass.
Mhm.
That was for me.
What was the first thing that hit you?
Chocolate,
Oh,
Okay.
right.
but by the end of the glass, it was
Mhm.
very smooth berry, dark fruit, blueberry,
Mm.
like that raspberry tune.
And, yeah,
Blackberry, raspberry.
it is. It's really pretty, and I would say anise, right? Go with a little black licorice going on,
Sure. Yeah.
right? Very pretty.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I love that it has a balance in the bouquet and the flavor. So it's giving us both ways. So on your way into the glass, it's inviting and beautiful,
Mhm.
and powerful. And then, with the sip. So it's all the things you want. And Napa is not a shrinking violet, right? It tends to be I wouldn't say aggressive, but
Mhm.
certainly a big wine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to go hunting for flavors or scents
Mhm.
in Napa wine. And this absolutely lives up to it. So
So when you have a wine that, like, I know one of the wines in the tasting last night, Beth was saying she initially thought she wouldn't like it because of the bouquet, but
Mhm.
then she really liked the taste. So what is giving you the smells of it as opposed to the taste? Like, is it more skins or is it more terroir, or does it just depend?
it depends.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those like, and yeah, there's no
Okay.
easy answer to that.
Okay.
So because it varies by grape
Okay.
and it varies by terroir.
So with this one, what do we get? It's because to me, really the scent matches the taste for this one. So
I agree.
Okay.
It's very new world in that style, right?
Okay.
So not always, because there's
Mhm.
nothing always in wine, but generally, right? So new world wines tend to smell like what they taste like.
okay.
Old world wines very regularly deviate from that. Well, they'll smell one way and then taste a different way.
Why?
Once again, it depends on what grape varietal
Mhm.
and the growing conditions.
Okay.
And then it goes into
The
how
vinting?
it was vinted, right?
Okay.
So like if you take a grape and you ferment it
Mm-hmm.
and then you stick it into new oak, it's going to be very different from if you
Sure.
get done and you put it into a clay amphora, right? So just a big clay pot.
Right.
It's going to be entirely different.
Mhm.
Not entirely, but extremely different,
Right.
and you're going to get the amphora is going to pull out more of the mineral notes, and the oak would do more, covering up, going with spices and vanilla. And that
Okay,
kind of
but if
thing.
you're gonna do, let's say you do new oak versus the amphora.
Yes,
The amphora is more of an old world thing,
more of an old world
And the-
style.
and then
Mhm.
the new oak is more
New
New
world,
World.
right?
So those things that you're talking about, minerality and everything, that's strictly taste? Or is it's both? Like, because
It's
you're
both.
saying the clay is gonna give you then
Oh,
a
no, it'll be-
difference with the notes of the
Right.
aroma versus the, okay,
Right, both aroma and flavor.
okay.
Yeah, it will affect both.
It's affecting both, but it's affecting them in different ways because that's old world, and you're saying often the old world aroma doesn't match.
Yeah, there will be times, especially, let's go with Burgundy and Rouge, all right,
Okay.
which is Pinot Noir. All right, so you're in Burgundy, France, and a lot of times you get there and you'll smell, like there are plenty of times that you smell it, and sometimes it's farmhouse funk, right? And sometimes that farmhouse funk follows through. Okay, fine, that connected.
I used to hate that, and now I'm like, I like it.
It's an evolution in wine tasting, right?
I used to really hate it. Now,
We
yeah.
like the funk.
Yeah.
All right, so, but also there are times where you'll smell it and you'll think, okay, well, I'm getting some, maybe even just a light amount of cranberry and not much else. There can be things that are stingy on the nose.
Okay.
And then you sip it and it's like, wow, this is all here. And
Okay.
it really, I would have to get into enology as to why it shows up at certain times and
Okay.
why it doesn't. At
It's
other
all a
times.
balancing thing.
It is. Yeah.
When they're making the wine, this is my last question to interrupt you, probably. So when they're, I mean, at this point, I'm going to interrupt you again.
That's all right.
but-
It's fine.
So
I have wine. I have infinite patience.
when they're making the wine,
Mhm.
I'm sure this is a dumb question. Their goal is strictly taste, or are they also trying to influence the aroma, or is that just like like it just happens, like it's just collateral?
No. All right. So
Okay.
it is supposed to always be both.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe that to actually be true.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
From all the hundreds and hundreds of wines that I've tasted, right?
Okay.
Because there are wines that I will taste.
Mhm.
And on the way in, there are times when I am struggling to find anything on the nose.
Okay.
And I've never struggled to find anything on the palate, right?
Right.
So I will say, despite the fact that in true theory, you would be working on both, I think if there's one that wins out, clearly it's the taste. And it
taste,
should.
okay.
I mean, I get that.
Because sometimes I have wines that I'm like, but then I taste it and I like it.
Sure. Well,
But beer's like that too. Like,
Beer can be that way
yeah.
too. And there are wines where you're right. There can be wines that give you very little to smell.
Mhm.
And there can be wines that, and I've had some this week where I thought, I don't know about this on the way in, and the flavor was fantastic.
Okay.
And then a lot of times we'll call it blowing off.
Mhm.
Like sometimes it'll have scent that will, like, that's not great, but you swirl it and 5 minutes later, it's all gone.
Okay. It's like it outgasses or something.
It does.
Yeah.
It outgasses, it goes away. And when the flavor was good the whole time, well, it's just one of those things where we say, okay, look, for the customers,
Mhm.
understand this will happen, right?
Okay.
And-
Yeah,
and-
you need to warn people.
Right. Like, don't get put off by the nose because you really want to enjoy this wine.
Okay.
That's on the rare side,
Mhm.
but it does happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's interesting that they're actually supposed to be planning for both. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be, and all right. So enology, right? It's supposed to be the look,
Mhm.
the scent, and the taste.
Okay.
It's supposed to be the entire thing. And it is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a gorgeous color.
And there's a little of almost a toffee note coming out now that it's had a minute to open up for us. And once again, I don't apologize ever for working through an opening of a wine. I love doing that.
Mhm.
That's what I like to do for myself anyway. So I know you guys all know that are here with me every week, but if somebody were to tune in and say, hey, why didn't you let it open? This is why I like to go through the evolution.
Sure.
Yeah. YouTube. I act like there are comments. There aren't, But I will say, like a little toffee note.
We have hundreds
Right.
of thousands of followers.
Oh my God, so many.
Yeah, I love that toffee call. I didn't think of it initially, but as soon as you said it, I was like, that's what it is.
I just had
Right.
to ask Chris what toffee was, like what flavor note it is, because I was like, I don't know. But I get like brown sugar out of it, if
Mhm.
that's.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that definitely works in
Yeah.
that. Wait, what's Reese's favorite candy
Heath.
bar? Heath.
Yeah.
Heath bars. Everybody go buy a Heath bar.
Yeah, that's what.
That's what I said. I was like, it's a Heath bar. And she's like, ah.
Exactly. There you go. You know, there's that other one. There's the one that's never made it as popular. It's called, I think it's called Skol, SKOL,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
like a Heath bar, but it's not the same thing. Yeah.
But this, I'd say this is more like that because a Heath bar is way sweeter than I get from this one. So I would say it's the other one.
I think the Skol is like with a really dark chocolate.
As a dark chocolate, yeah.
I agree with Robin. I'm getting like the brown sugar and like plum. It's like heavier than most wines we've had over the last couple of weeks, which I like, but it's just, it's kind of syrupy and heavy to me.
All right. Yeah. No, there's a lot of weight in this wine.
Mhm.
There's definitely is. So, all right, let's kind of delve deeper into what are we drinking? We should, everyone
What
should
does
say that
that
at the same
remind
time.
me of?
What are we drinking?
It's like a 1970s game show. That's
Yes,
what it is.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which a lot of people weren't alive for that are here.
Well,
Score was the chocolate
That's
bar.
because
Score,
isn't
that's it.
Skull isn't
That's
it-
a tobacco.
It's
No.
yeah, that's
Oh,
what I was
alright.
like. I'm pretty
Thank
sure
you.
that's a
I
dip.
looked it up because I was like, chocolate that I haven't had, so I started Googling it and I was like, this sounds amazing. Like I need to find this and have a bite and have more wine so I can pair
Well, you
it.
know
Old
what?
cause
Th-
call. Score, yeah.
Score.
This is going to be the Score Renaissance, and it's all thanks to me.
Yeah, they're
That's
gonna
right.
call you up.
I remembered it because,
Except you remembered the wrong word.
well, you know what? Hey, it got there.
Okay.
That's right. All right. Next slide, please. All right. So here we are. The combination of French and Croatian grapes. Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot from Bordeaux, France. Zinfandel from Croatia, now an American staple. So kind of a fun combo. If I were to put up a picture of all three of these different grape clusters, you would not be able to tell the difference. So that's why I leave one. I say that all the time. They look the same.
Yeah.
But I love Zinfandel. And I love how the United States is working with Zinfandel. And anyway, it's one of my preferred grapes. So.
See, okay, now I know we call it red and white, okay, red grapes,
Mhm.
but those are clearly like bluish purple. I don't know why we don't call them blue, because they look like blueberries.
Well, and by the way, do you know why it looks blue? That's yeast.
I actually was going to say yeast.
Yeah, that is, because if you were to wipe that off, like you can see the little dots of really black on there.
Yeah.
They're a black grape, but then there's yeast all over it.
Okay.
That's just waiting. Oh, I want to get
Just
out.
waiting
I
to
want that
turn into
sugar.
wine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
It may not be only yeast, but in there. there is
Yeah, it
yeast.
could be like pollens or whatever.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but mostly yeast. Okay,
Just true.
here.
Yes. All right. So what are we dealing with this week? Cabernet Sauvignon, thick-skinned. Zinfandel is a little thinner skinned, and Merlot is a little thinner skinned. So we are getting most of our tannins. Tannins come from thicker skin. So we're probably getting most of that from the cab. And then flavors, big flavor powerhouses. Zinfandel and Merlot may have a little thinner skin, so a little bit less tannin, but they get a ton of flavor from that area. And then they also bring in some acidity from the center, keeping it fresh. Right. So anyway, that it's kind of a little, it brings us back to why do we use red blends, right?
Mhm.
Balance. And I think that's what we're getting. We're getting a
Oh, yeah.
spectrum of flavors. We're getting a wonderful structure. It's, I think they did a really nice job of putting this all together. And that's what a blend can bring you, which is why the French thought, especially the people in Bordeaux, not Burgundy so much because they only work with Pinot, thought we were insane when,
Single
over in
varietals.
California, they were thinking, what do you mean you're just making a cab?
Mhm.
Just Cabernet Sauvignon? What about the rest? And they couldn't believe we were doing it. Now, it all worked out, but
What started that? I mean, were they just like, well, that's all I'm growing, so I guess that's what I'll put in the bottle?
it's an
Or
interesting question
it was
because
a-
I've actually read several articles
Mhm.
on the Judgment of Paris,
Mhm.
where, Mondavi and all the guys, Gergich and,
All the guys.
that's right. Well, I'm sorry they were gone. but-
Well, no, I'm not saying they
Mm.
were, I'm just saying it's just funny to be like, all the guys were
Well,
there.
yeah, I know. So they're there. I've never heard why they chose to break with tradition.
Yeah.
I don't know why they chose to, maybe the answer is out there and that's a good question. Maybe I'll look it up. But
Because it seems interesting that it wasn't just one of them.
right.
It was the,
It was kind of a California thing. It's like,
Right.
oh, well, we're making Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay. Well,
Right.
Chardonnay was by itself over in France too,
Mhm.
but certainly the Cabernet Sauvignon versus a red blend from Bordeaux, which is what was measured.
right.
Why did they decide? I don't know why they
Yeah.
decided to do that.
I mean, it's just an interesting question to me to think about. Why do you break with, if you're trying to be respected by the old world,
Yeah, why not mimic it?
why not mimic it? Yeah.
Right.
Why do something completely new that they're going to scoff at anyway?
Sure. Mhm.
I don't know.
I think it's a reasonable point. I don't know. Oh, by the way, interesting thought on this. So what we've not been talking about is a crazy overabundance of vanilla tonight. So we're not dealing with a lot of young American oak. We got spiciness. They don't tell me what oak they're using, but it makes me think French.
You would guess the
Yeah.
French rather than
Mhm.
the American oak. Mhm.
Because we're not covered in vanilla
Mhm.
or dill and that kind of a thing. So
Have we had anything that tastes like dill?
big, heavy American oak
Mhm.
will give you a combination of, you'll get vanilla mostly,
Okay.
but you get vanilla and a little bit of a dill.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Should I advance?
Please. All right, wine term. All right, cuvee. Cuvee, and I use this term off and on because it shows up in and out of what we're talking about in wines, right? So this could be called a cuvee of Napa Valley,
Okay.
right? Because it is actually a blend of, all right, so Cab, Zin, and Merlot, and from 3 different subregions, which we're going to discuss in Napa Valley. So it would be cuvee means a blending of regions, but it has a lot of meanings, honestly, too many meanings. And so one, if you are in Champagne, the region, if you're in Champagne, France, it refers to the first gentle pressed grape juice that comes out before the more thorough pressing releases juice with phenolics, which is from the seeds and the skin and the stems, if they're included.
Okay.
So the seeds and the skin are always going to be there. Stems are not always included,
Okay.
right? But so those guys add tannins and bitterness and weight, which, especially if you're making champagne, you don't want,
True.
right? So that in there, they're like, oh, the cuvee runnings, or and actually it was like first run, and there were kind of, multiple multiple terms for that first gentle press of
Okay.
juice. So in Champagne, it has that meaning, but it's used much more often as a blend. But it can mean a blend of grapes. It can be a blend
A
of
blend of types of grapes.
right,
Okay.
a blend of types of, well, actually, not just that, right?
Okay.
So it could be a blend of multiple types of grapes, a
Mhm.
cuvee. It can be a blend of grapes from different regions, a cuvee of Pinot Noir from 3 different regions in California, J Vineyards in the store.
Mhm.
That's a cuvee.
Okay.
And it can be a blend of vintages too. So it's got
This
a
is
lot going on. Yeah,
yes.
like I'm sorry, but this is it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The wine world has not decided to really lock it in, but if you see cuvee, more often than not, I mean, there is the
Means a
champagne,
blend of something.
but you
Yeah.
usually means a blend in some way.
Okay.
So it can be a regional blend, it can be multiple grapes, but I think the most common I see is the same grape from multiple locations.
Okay.
So cuvee.
All right. So this though is 3 different grapes.
This one is 3 different grapes from 3 different locations
Okay.
in Napa.
Okay, so it's.
So it's a cuvee.
It's 2 of the 3. Okay, it's cuvee squared.
That's right.
There you go.
There we go. But it's not a gentle press of champagne. All right, we can take that one
Figured
off the board.
was
That
off the
one's
board,
done.
Yeah, we can just look at it and know, okay. Can we change or would you like
Next
to
slide.
advance?
Yes,
or
please.
Okay.
All right, so where are we? Where in the world are we drinking? this
Gosh,
wine
where's
from?
California?
Where is Napa? Oh my gosh, we don't know. All right, so right in the middle of the latitudes, and in the 70s, changes in attitudes, changes in the latitudes. I'm just saying.
Nope.
No,
No.
no. All right. Tip the hat to Jimmy. All right. So here we are in the United States. So we're looking at California. And you guys all remember one of my favorite things to say as we move into California, that Napa Valley was the second AVA, American Viticultural Area. The first one was in,
Well, I know, but
yeah.
we should see who
All right, let's jump back. Who remembers?
can put it in chat first.
Is it Missouri?
It is Missouri.
Missouri. That's right.
Yep.
The very first American viticultural wine area was in Augusta, Missouri in 1980. All right,
Augusta, Missouri.
Augusta.
Mhm.
So let's head on it. All right, so California as a whole, we're working into the northern coast here in purple. So we've got Sonoma, Napa, Lake County. Here we are here, moving in. Here's Napa on the inland here. Got a couple of mountain areas. And
What was the one that we had that pulled from both? Didn't we have one that pulled from both Sonoma and Napa?
we did. It jumped the mountains there. And there were
Yeah.
some from both. Gosh, I can't remember. A lot of times it'll be Pinot or
Mhm.
Chardonnay down here
Okay.
because Carneros. This is Carneros.
It was from Carneros, yeah.
So Carneros, there's Carneros Napa and
Mhm.
Carneros Sonoma.
Okay.
And it's always a cool growth area
because
because
of the
this
bay.
is San Francisco
Yeah.
Bay. There's fogs and coolness coming off the bay. So I was going to talk about this, but we'll do it now. Napa's pretty interesting because the coolest part of Napa is the south and the warmest is the north.
Yeah, that is interesting.
All right, so here we are. The Napa Valley is best known for Cabernet Sauvignon for the red and Chardonnay for the white. And tremendous variety of terroir. We have warm growth on the valley floor, breezy hillsides, and rocky dry mountain side growing over on this side and that side as well. So you can go from a really warm, rich area with very ripe grapes to very very tenacious, holding on to grippy grapes from the mountainside, Howell Mountain, and that.
So this is a cuvee. Where are we getting them from?
We are getting them from Rutherford,
Mhm.
Oakville, and Calistoga.
Okay.
Zinfandel's from Calistoga. Let me look at this. Rutherford was the Cab and Oakville was the Merlot.
You just should say it with confidence. They're not going to check you.
All right.
Just be
well,
like,
you know
yeah.
what? I don't know about that. So, first planted in the 1850s.
Oh, wow.
Originally,
Jeez.
Napa Valley was all about Italian grapes
Really?
before the wonderful, awful,
Oh, phylloxera.
no, prohibition.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So they were actually Napa Valley because of.
Do you want me to stop this a moment?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Right. So the beginnings of wine growing in California were from the monks, right? Or people close to the monks.
Mhm.
And so the cuttings that the monks brought over were Italian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so originally Californian wine was developing as a connection to Italy. And then Prohibition destroyed everything. Nobody could sell anything. They all went under. They switched over to fruit trees and fruit groves and all these things that they could actually make money with.
Right.
It's a wonderful fertile area, fertile-ish.
Right.
Can't
You
be
don't
too
want it
fertile.
too fertile.
No, oh dear Lord, or that grape will
Okay.
not be good.
Right.
So anyway, so then when it came back after Prohibition,
Mhm.
that was when the demand for French wines went through the roof because of the world wars. So we had
Oh.
all the
Hmm.
soldiers heading over to
Mhm.
Europe drinking wine. It was mostly French, could have been Italian, so it didn't necessarily need to change,
Right.
but it did. It did change.
Okay.
They came back wanting Burgundy, and that's why you get in California, you can actually get a Californian Burgundy.
Really?
Yes. Because this is interesting. So they came back and they decided to make mimic wines
Mhm.
before we had protection for brands and such. So before Burgundy had the ability to say, no, Burgundy only comes from Burgundy, France,
Mhm.
they were already being made in California. And because that happened, they were grandfathered in.
Huh.
That's why you can get Californian Chablis. Chablis is a region in Burgundy in France
Right.
for growing Chardonnay, but you can get Californian cheap Chablis jugs, which is a real disservice to Chablis.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Because it's grandfathered in, because
Huh.
they were doing it before protections were in place.
That's very interesting. It's a shame for Chablis.
It is. I can only imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure they're
I'm
really salty about it to this day.
I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chablis
Yeah.
and Burgundy.
No, I'm sure
Yeah.
they're like, "Ah, those effing Americans, you know."
Right. Honestly, it should be required to be pronounced Chablis because
Yeah.
it's not the same.
Right,
thing.
right.
Yeah.
No. But
Just-
someone's going to see that and think it's from France.
Right.
Unless
Well,
you
if
look
they-
and
yeah.
see like product of California.
Probably,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Or they'll just think, oh, okay, Chablis just means cheap white.
Sure.
And it does not. It's
Sure.
amazing. It's beautiful wine. Anyway. It is a thing.
Okay.
So, all right, let's jump back over. So, one of the wonderful things about Napa throughout is the difference. They make it really warm, especially in the valley floor during the day, but each night they cool off very quickly, which helps to extend ripening over a long period of time. The longer it takes to ripen with a very stable environment, not too much rain, allows
The
you to
temperature
have.
variations are okay, but the rain is the problem.
Right. You
Yeah.
you want temperature variation because you want it to begin ripen, you want it to stop ripening at night,
Right, right.
so that you can get a long hang time and get more character on the grapes, which Napa is a wonderful, wonderful place for this. All right, moving on. So let's take a look at it. So here's Oakville. That's where the cab comes from. It's valley floor. You can see how
Yeah,
flat it
you
is
can
right
see,
there.
yeah. And then you see the
Right.
mountains.
And
in
you
the
see them,
background.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So here's the Oakville, here's Calistoga. All right, so this is the Zin. It's the northern part. It's up
Sure.
in the foothills. It is very warm though.
Because it's
But
the
it does-
northern part.
Right, because it's the northern part, but it has a little more altitude to
Mhm.
help offset that. So
Okay.
you don't get over ripening. And Rutherford, right? So Rutherford is valley floor again for the Merlot. And you can see it. It's
Mhm.
flat. It's flat.
It is, it's flat.
Yeah. Arling Blaze. So Arling Blaze is a negociant. We talked about negociants, what, 2 or 3 wines ago?
Yeah, we've talked about it a couple times,
Right.
but
So they purchase their product and then blend it for their own.
they purchase their grapes.
They purchase their grapes.
Right.
Right.
And then they vent their wine.
Right. Though, honestly, this is called cellared and bottled. Cellared and bottled is a phrase. So they actually potentially, and I don't know because I cannot see it on their website, could have even bought the wine done and then blended it themselves.
Okay. Huh.
So,
Well,
but
they made a really nice blend.
right, here's the thing on that. We say, okay, let's sell it in bottle. Well, they didn't grow the wine. Maybe they didn't even invent the wine.
Right,
But does it follow that they didn't make a good wine?
right.
No, yeah, they
No,
made a
it's a great
delicious
wine.
wine. It's delicious. It's stylish. It's a negotiant winery. And they basically wanted to make big, rich, dark wines
So
with
that's why it says the
character.
darker side of Napa Valley wines,
Exactly
because it's
right.
always they deal with the dark wines.
It is, and they
Okay.
wanted to make their labels to go with it. We have three.
Mm,
So we have this guy,
mhm.
and then we have another one that has some Syrah.
Can I see it?
Yep. And then we have a full count.
Okay, from a distance, it looked like maybe those were bones
Yeah.
around his feet. So, do they all have this kind of spooky?
Yes, they
label?
all have the
Oh,
spooky label, and they
cool.
have all been on sale for the Halloween tasting. So
Oh.
we did this for the wine of the week, but the brother and sister wines for this were also on sale.
Okay, great. Are they still?
Well, if you ask me about it, it will, even though technically it's expired, but
Okay.
you know, it's fine.
If you ask nicely.
That's right.
There you go.
If I know your face, that's right. But they're really delicious wines. They're fantastic, well made. You know what? Tip of the hat. They knew what they had, and and how to make a delicious wine. So look, not everyone who knows wine has the ability to own the land.
Right. Right.
So sometimes
I
you
mean,
got
that's a huge investment.
you've got to work your way in.
Right.
And this person,
Mhm.
or people
Mhm.
that are putting this together definitely knows delicious wine.
Absolutely.
So.
Or maybe you're like, you know what? That would be where I would grow it. It's already owned by someone. And since I can buy the grapes,
Right.
that's cool. That's
Yeah,
all
like-
I need are the grapes.
Some of the best French houses are all negotiants.
Yeah. Well, there you
There's
go.
nothing wrong with being a negotiant.
Mhm.
So, all right.
Next.
Yes,
Okay.
let's go next. All right. So, don't have any. I don't remember. No, this. If I remember correctly, there's no ratings on
You
this
didn't
guy.
put
Too
anything
small.
at the front.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Too small a production. Which once again, somebody who's just getting started, I think that they really know wine.
Yes.
It's delicious. So we get to be without anyone really influencing what we're thinking as an entry point on this wine. So do we think this is a mediocre wine, a good wine, 80 to 84, a very good wine, 85 to 89, or maybe even an outstanding wine, 90 to 94, or a classic, 95 and above? I will say that a lot of people, I will say if you're drinking a wine that you're saying, damn, that is nice.
Mhm.
That generally,
Mhm.
and I know that's being kind of a ridiculous statement,
Mhm.
is 90, right?
Okay.
You're like, just to put it in perspective, So anyway,
Okay, so let's see. Got Chris loves it, 93 to 94, 90 for Paul, 91 for Linda. Robin, just a 92, which is a funny statement because a 92 is really high, but just a 92.
Right.
And then I'm not sure if everybody agrees. Let's see, who do we have there? So we have a group of Linda, Brenda, and Laura, 93 to
John.
94. Well, but is he there? I don't see him in the frame. That's what I was
oh,
looking
and by the way, no one cares what John thinks anyway.
Okay, they all went like this.
He moved to the
He's
couch.
fallen asleep. He's passed out. But we're-
He liked it so much, he had too much and then passed out in the background. Okay, and then we've got the Hogsets, 92, 93. They love it. Larkins Tuckers, we'd say 90, since I think we're leaning that we've overrated in the past, given the descriptions. That's a funny statement. And then we have Brian, molasses and plum flavors, 87. Julie says 90.
Okay.
So I like that Brian threw in his flavors as well.
No, I like it.
not
That's
just
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, it's
So-
because I corrected him when he said syrupy. I was like, don't say syrup. Like that's not a positive wine thing. And he's like, well, it's like, like molasses, like sweet, but not sweet. Like, I don't remember what exact words you said, but that was like what he was describing. I was like, that's so much better than syrupy. Like,
I don't mean to offend the wine crew. I'm sorry.
I will say, so when I was talking to Chris, so he mentioned blueberry pancakes as a descriptor. And then I said, I thought that it was like a balsamic reduction. So I get the syrupy thing because like I get that
Right.
texture and like taste to it.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you now that it's, I mean, it's open because it's really tannic now. I
It
mean,
is.
It really
It's much
wants
more
some
tannic
food
than it was
and,
before.
and it's just coating the whole palate.
Mhm.
It's an aggressive, delicious wine. It is very much kind of, oh, you know the word's coming, quintessentially Napa Valley, right? Oh God, I love the word, but yeah, I think it's delicious.
I would have said 92, 93. I love this
Right.
wine.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad you guys really like it.
Mhm.
And it is one of those things where it can be hard. You can really, it's easy to get hung up on, I only want to drink wineries where they own the land and that
Right,
type of
right.
thing. But honestly, in France, they don't get hung up on that because they understand not everyone can own the land.
Right.
So
Well-
these guys have put together a very tasty bottle of wine here.
And if anybody knows what's okay in wine, it's France. I mean, if
Right.
they're fine with it, really the rest of us should be fine with it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. The French, it's all about, all right, the winemaker and what have you produced?
Right.
And it doesn't mean that they don't work with which I've told before,
Mhm.
talked about before. It doesn't mean they don't work with the field,
Right.
like they go out there and say, hey, look, I want it cropped in this way because
Oh,
this
sure.
acre is mine. I want these hand,
Yeah,
and they
you
don't go
said
into
before
that.
they really work with them they're not just like seeing a truck on the side of the road and saying, hey, I want those
Right.
grapes.
Some do, some don't, and there's different levels,
Okay.
right?
Right. So
It's all
maybe
over
some
the
of them are.
place. But I will say, no matter what they are doing, and they're so new, they don't have much info for me on their
Mhm.
website, which is kind of fun, actually. They're so new. I will say this, well done.
Yeah.
Delicious.
No, fantastic.
Yeah. Nice wine.
Okay, so I think you should ask, wait, hold on, we have another chat.
Okay.
We're in a safe space, right? We like blends. I do as well. This one is a little sweet for us, but it's very good. Although we gave a 90 for outstanding, trying to get better at rating. I think you're doing fantastically.
Yeah, you guys, you're good.
Yeah, I love blends too. I really like Australian and New Zealand blends very, very much too. So
Well,
this is not that.
it's been a while
but
since
I
we
really like
visited
it.
Australia, so
Did I guess something?
no.
Okay, all right. Okay.
You will guess it for the next week.
I think that you need to ask your trivia question that you sent out to the family this week and see if anybody can get it.
And what did I send out?
Do you don't remember what
No.
you sent? You sent, what is the number one wine consumer
Oh,
as a country
that one.
in the
Okay.
world?
Yes.
That's how you phrased it, right?
Yes,
Okay.
the number per capita.
Per capita.
And that was at the store, so that's why.
Oh, you said it at the store?
Oh, yeah, no, well, yeah, it was on the chalkboard at the store.
Oh, so people
And
who've
then
been to the
people-
store would know.
They already know. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and it's in our little thing too, the wine question thing.
What wine question?
But you've told us this before, Jeff.
Right.
Well, I don't think he has said this one, has he?
Not
He
here.
has.
Okay, so we've got
On-
one
on
guess for
Zoom,
France,
Right.
and France was my
Right.
answer.
Yeah. What is the number one wine consumption country in the world
States?
per capita? Per capita is important.
The
The
Vatican.
Vatican?
Yes.
The Vatican.
The Vatican.
Yeah.
Yes. To which Ashley replied, that doesn't count.
Yeah. That's right.
And we're like, it's a country.
Agreed.
Hey,
Yeah.
by the
I
way,
replied and I
Also,
still
that's
win
not
because I said
wine,
it.
that's like the blood. Come on.
right. By the way, all right. So taking that aside,
Only once it's been consecrated.
who's number two?
I was gonna say Germany was gonna be my guess.
Okay, we'll take the France as number
All
two
right.
then. Germany.
All right.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Because number two
Germany is what I wrote on the board, so.
is Spain's
Okay,
good, yeah,
Spain.
getting warmer.
Anybody else want to guess? There are a
That's
lot of
it.
people that are
Portugal.
afraid
China.
to put in the chat.
No,
Huh?
Not
France?
no, not China.
No,
No.
China does drink.
I know, I was gonna
a
say
ton of wine.
Australia, but
And China's
Jerry
actually
says
buying
Italy.
so much
Okay, Jerry says
French
Italy.
wine.
What was
I-
the question?
Hey, oh, who?
Okay, say the question again.
What is the second highest per capita wine consumption in the world? You got the Vatican, and then you have a much bigger country. I mean, bigger than the Vatican isn't hard.
But we're still asking. per
And somebody
capita.
has already answered it correctly.
Okay, well, there's only one person that's put anything in the chat box, so.
Well, no, we got France, Spain. All right.
Well,
so-
that's all the same,
Right.
the Larkin Tuckers.
Right.
Those are all the same.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's
so-
Portugal.
It's Portugal,
Portugal.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would not have guessed that.
Yep, Portugal's number 2.
Wow.
Good for you guys. You win our admiration.
That's right.
I knew it was.
Oh, that was John. Okay. Wondered which, because we can only see one person in frame. So
Are you
wondered
kidding me?
which of the
So
three.
John woke up and got the right answer.
No, it's Larkin. Okay, that was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. right.
Yeah, it was the Larkin Tuckers. So then Cheryl likes the 92. So we had another rating, and that was
Yeah.
mine, 92, 93.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely go there.
Mhm.
It's very delicious.
Yep.
It makes me happy. All right,
Okay, ready?
next one. Let's thank you to
I was.
Wine Folly.
We need
of
to just start
course.
guessing each time.
Right,
Wine
right.
Folly.
Is it always Wine Folly? Yes, it's always
Yes,
Wine Folly. They are
100%.
amazing. Buy their books, go to their website, do all the things. 750 Wikipedia, and of course Arling Blaze Winery itself with their online info.
Website?
Yeah. I was just gonna be like,
That's what that's called.
no, I was like, thanks for all that info, guys.
Well, maybe they don't want to tell, they want to keep it mysterious.
I'll never tell.
Like their labels. Exactly. Ready?
Okay, next week we are going to Spain. We're going to drink a new first for us.
Okay.
I wanted to hit it before the end of the year. We're going to drink Bobal.
Okay.
Yes. So from Valencia, Spain,
Mhm.
we're going to cover. I tell you, we've gone through so many individual grapes. They're getting few and far between, right?
Mhm.
So Bobal, very small production, great for caprese sausage, not calabrese. Anyway, calabrese sausage, beef stew, paella, and barbecue meats. So spicy meats, really good. It's
Okay.
got a really nice fruit quality to it, but not
Okay.
too much. And I really think it will remind you guys of a wine that we had earlier this year.
So you're not going to tell us?
No,
which
I
one it
want to
is?
kind of tease it out there because it really reminded me, not that I can find any direct genetic link
Mhm.
to a grape that we drank
Okay.
about 6 months ago.
I am 100% not going to remember it, which grape that was. So you can't ask me.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. But I will be interested to see if anyone else remembers and if they drink it and say, gosh, that tastes like that.
Mhm.
So, because I thought it jumped right out at me, but
All right.
it is what I do for a living every day.
No,
and
that
you
is-
guys actually
I'm-
have lives,
I'm
so I
glad
get
you
that.
remember all of that because you're just the keeper of my wine knowledge. So there you go.
It's what I do.
Is the bottle actually shaped like
Yes, it
this?
is. It's a little shorter, a little fatter.
Ah.
Yep,
Does it fit in any of our slots?
it does.
Oh,
It still fits in the
really?
slot.
That's
yeah.
amazing. Okay. Cool.
But it's a really fun, delicious wine, and it is a great. Well, we'll talk about why it's important to Spain next.
Yeah,
week.
don't give it away.
I know. I want to tell you all now. I've already started doing the research, but I won't. There's a very good reason to drink this wine.
Sounds good. All right.
So.
Excited.
Lots of things.
All right.
Okay, so
Well,
we
mm,
will,
mm, mm.
unless anybody has any other questions or comments about this wine, we will go ahead and wrap this up.
Real quick, we because there's 3 of them that are all from the same producer this week. We got this one, which is red blend, a cab, and another one that's a red blend.
Yes.
We had the other red blend on Sunday.
Sunday night. Yeah.
That one is a capital C California capital B blend. Like it is like no joking where it's from. You take one sip and you're like, that's it. This I love. I like this one like heads and tails more than the previous one.
The other one was good, to be very clear.
Yeah, they're almost so like good. This one, I think just like there's so many interesting things from the Zin and the Merlot that really brought out really, really cool notes. Yeah, I really like this one.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Chris. I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they are fun but they're all worth drinking. This guy's a delicious wine. So
Haven't had the cab yet, but yeah.
So did you just kind of flip a coin and decide which of the three, or is this your favorite?
this is my favorite.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say it is.
I agree with you, Chris. I like this blend better than the other. The cab is good.
Yeah.
We tried it when we were at the store, but we also brought a bottle home, so we haven't drank it yet.
No, they're all really good. And people, I think overall will be back and forth on it. But this one, I was like, this one, who's not going to like this wine?
Right.
It's really good.
Yeah.
You know, so I went with the definitely with the one that was, they all could have been featured, but this one was like, yeah, let's go
Okay.
with this guy. So
Cool. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you all for
Sabatos,
coming.
thank you for joining us. It's time to turn off the
The recording.
recording and start the 4-letter words. Is that how it is? All right.
Thank you.